King of Tokyo is probably one of my favorite games. Yes, I raved about it in previous reviews and I'm gonna rave about it again. It's one of my favorite games. I think it's a perfect family game. It's a great push-a-luck game. You can play it with children, and I did when my kids were very young. You can play with gamers. It's really a game for everybody. The true family game, meaning that different generations can play it and have a great time. So, King of Tokyo, one of my favorite games, but I did donate my copy last year when I donated most of my collection to the Lily Library. So you may wonder, how is that the case? Because most of the games that I donated, they were games that maybe I wasn't playing very often, also games that maybe I didn't like very much, but there's a tiny minority of games that I loved, and I donated them anyways just because I liked them so much. I thought a research collection should have them. So I donated some of those and then I bought other copies. For example, that's why Azul, I donated my copy and then I immediately replaced it with the travel version. King of Tokyo thought, no, a research collection that depicts modern game design must have a copy of King of Tokyo, so I donated mine, plus also King of New York and other expansions. And I thought, well, at some point, I'll just rebuy my own copy. How lucky was it that now we have a new version, King of Tokyo Origins, and the publisher sent me a review copy. So now I have a way of playing King of Tokyo again. And this is basically an entry point to the game, so it plays exactly like the main system. It looks to me that we're trying to make a leaner version, saving on components, trimming down gameplay to its very core. And the result to me was very successful because if I didn't know was King of Tokyo Origins, I don't know, if I didn't remember some of the details of the other things, I may not have noticed. So you're going to have now a more affordable and easier way to acquire King of Tokyo, to start playing King of Tokyo, and gameplay from the point of view of how it feels, the choices you get, how much fun you have is exactly the same. So I guess I already anticipated most of my conclusions here. It's like, it's King of Tokyo in a smaller box, for fewer players, more affordable, and it's King of Tokyo. Now, if you have lived under a rock for the last decade or so, in King of Tokyo we play as giant kaijus, and if you have the old King of Tokyo, now you got some new kaijus here. Each is represented by a standee and by a display such as this one. All of the kaijus are exactly the same, so they don't have special powers or abilities. They may take hits, and then you record their decreasing amount of life, or they may heal, and then you record that. They may also score victory points. When a kaiju goes down to 0 life points, they're out of the game. And this is so remarkable because to me, direct play elimination is one of the biggest taboos of modern game design. This game is so good, I'm okay even with the fact that it has that player elimination. So you may win the game if everybody else has been eliminated and you are the last kaiju standing. You may also win the game if you score 20 victory points. And between this tension here, these two partially conflicting victory conditions, because you don't have enough resources to pursue both, and there's a lot of nice tension there. Simple, you're gonna have a board with one space and the person standing on the board is the current King of Tokyo. Everybody outside of the board will attack them when they use the attack action, and the King of Tokyo will attack everybody outside of the board, outside of Tokyo, when they take the attack action. Also, you can't heal by conventional means using heart symbols. So when you're in Tokyo, there's just so much going on. The intensity of the fighting there is just too much. So how does it work? Players will alternate being the active player when you are. You roll the dice, and then you can keep and save any die that you like and reroll the other ones. And then if you want, you can do that again, meaning you get a die roll plus up to 2 rerolls. Up to, you don't have to use them. After you're done rolling and potentially rerolling once or twice, you use the symbols that you have in front of you. Numbers, if you have two of a kind, you score that many points. If I have that set in front of myself, I just score 3 victory points. If you have extra of that number, each is an extra +1. So this would be 4 victory points. Lightning bolts. For each lightning bolt that you have, once you're done rolling and re-rolling, you collect a cube, and these cubes you can spend later to buy these cards. So there will be 3 available there. Lots of nice references to kaiju culture, like Friend of the Children. You immediately think of Gamera, Alien Origin, Space Godzilla. And simply you spend the corresponding amount of points. Some cards you keep and they provide you with an ongoing effect. Some cards they give you a one-time effect and then you discard them. Eating an ice cream truck. Sometimes I kind of feel like doing that, although I'm not a kaiju. You can also spend cubes to refresh the offer of cards there and get new ones instead. And so you know how much I've been playing King of Tokyo and how much I believe in this being the ultimate family game. My oldest kid is starting high school in the fall, this fall. And I played this with them when that person was a kid, couldn't even read. So I would just read the effects on the cards for them. And the kid was still beating me and winning by simply by buying the right cards and using them. They would just remember the effect, although they couldn't read it. I love King of Tokyo and I love my kids. So, this lightning bolts for the cube's heart, you get to recover, not from that, but you get to recover the life that you lost, but only if you're outside of Tokyo. The stomps is when you attack. Again, if you're the King of Tokyo, each stomp will give a point of damage to everybody outside of Tokyo. Players outside of Tokyo, each stomp gives a point of damage to you, and again, you cannot recover it using hearts. You can still recover it using card effects. Once you are in Tokyo and you receive damage by somebody outside, after you take it, you can choose if you're gonna stay in Tokyo or yield the position. If you yield the position, it's like a vacuum. It sucks in the person who gave you the stomps because they can't resist the allure of Tokyo. When you enter Tokyo, you score a victory point. If you are in Tokyo at the beginning of your turn, so you decided not to yield or you were in attack, you score 2 victory points. Again, being the King of Tokyo is dangerous, it's tough, but it does generate victory points. And that's usually when how I lost with my 5-year-old, because I would just stay in Tokyo too long. So these are the effects: the stomp, the heart, the lightning bolt, and the 3 numbers that may form sets. This is how you play King of Tokyo. And again, back to my conclusions that I already gave you. This is King of Tokyo. That's it. All of the advantages of King of Tokyo, they were able to simplify the material production without compromising gameplay. How did they do that? They gave you the card effects that do not require tokens. They could be a little complicated, an extra thing to keep track of anyways. They do not have the effects that require those 2 extra dice because there are 8 in the basic King of Tokyo, but you traditionally, overall, you usually roll 6. And the effects are still pretty fun. I never thought like, oh my gosh, I wish I had an effect that gave me 3 tokens and then I spend the token. They're just as fun and neat as they usually are. Rolling 6 dice every turn, and that's it. I didn't feel like, oh, I wish I had an effect so I can also roll some of the dice, because that was always the heart of the game anyways. You have new kaiju, some new cards who have exactly the same gameplay as in King of Tokyo. Again, technically, there are other effects there, but pragmatically, experientially, I never felt that I was missing anything. It's King of Tokyo, and I love King of Tokyo. I love the push or luck element. I love the variety of effects. I love the simplicity of the decisions. Should I stay in Tokyo or should I leave Tokyo? Which cards am I gonna get? Which dice am I going to reroll? You have extremely simple decisions and extremely interesting one. If you never played King of Tokyo, this game does what I believe it was designed for, which is to provide a simple and affordable entry point to the game. If you already know the game and maybe you've donated your copy, I know my case is a little peculiar, but maybe you lost yours. Maybe you want these extra kaijus or a lighter version, of course. You could always use a full copy of King of Tokyo and make your own version of this one other than for some cards. But for a simpler, smaller version of King of Tokyo that plays or that feels exactly like the full version, now you have King of Tokyo Origins, and I'm definitely happy that now I have a version of King of Tokyo in my collection again.